Hello. I think by the day that this is posted, it is my birthday, and it probably is, and I'm turning 14, and so I'm gonna be making a video on my birthday and hopefully posting it on my birthday also. But I'm filming this video the night before my birthday, and I'm going to be talking about my favorite movies from each year. This is just my opinion. There's probably going to be some opinions that you don't like. We're going to disagree. That's okay. It's just an opinion. Please don't get offended by my opinion. Uh, can't wait to get out of this pesky 13-year-old body.
So that's fun. That's because you suck.
Alright, so let's just start. And in 2005, my favorite movie is definitely Star Wars 3 Revenge of the Sith. Now, I could have gone with Batman Begins, which is probably a better movie, but Star Wars 3 is kind of my favorite movie. It's not the best Star Wars movie, but it's my favorite one. I really love Star Wars 3. I mean, just from that beginning battle, the CGI is like CGI today. Um, and yeah, I think it's a great story. Anakin versus Obi-Wan's fight is great, and let's move on to 2006. And there's not a lot of movies that were great in 2006, and the movie that I have on 2006 I haven't actually watched in a while, but it's a really good movie, and it's Cars. What can you say? Cars is just a really good movie. I mean, it's about a guy who gets lost in a town and starts forming relationships with these townspeople and then races. Like I said, I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm a bit, you know, uh, but I think it's a really good movie, and I actually like the third one also. Um, so yeah, let's move on to 2007. 2007, I thought that there weren't a lot of a lot of stuff out, but there actually is. But my favorite movie in 2007 is a hilarious movie called Superbad. Basically, it's about two uh, outcast high schoolers that are actually kind of three outcast high schoolers that get like in lots of trouble, and they just go on this hilarious journey that you're just watching like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? It's great. I don't know how old you are when you're watching this, but I definitely say uh, you're gonna want to be probably a teen when you watch this. It's rated R. I don't think that like a 9-year-old should watch that movie. There's just some stuff in it that you wouldn't understand, and you wouldn't find it funny. Uh, and let's go into 2008. This is a big year. You have The Incredible Hulk, which is probably definitely not my favorite movie, although I like that movie. There's Iron Man, but we gotta go with the greatest superhero movie and one of my favorite movies all around, The Dark Knight. It's basically a masterpiece. I mean, The Dark Knight has Heath Ledger's Joker. The story is just amazing. The Dark Knight is just amazing, and it's the best superhero movie ever. That is a fact. It's like it's the Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back of superhero movies. Uh, with that, let's go on to 2009, and this is a movie that I have that I watched very recently. Now, there are some other movies like Star Trek. I really like that movie, but I this movie just it's honestly, especially the final fight, is very creative, and I really like it. And it's called Zombieland. This is another R-rated movie, and it is hilarious, and the action is great, and the story's great. It's by the same guy who did Venom, but this one's actually good. Right from the beginning, you kind of establishes who the main character is, who the main protagonist is, and then it goes on with his journey. You meet other characters, and then you figure out who they are. And apparently, there's a second one coming out this year, so I'm excited. Um, let's go on to 2010, which is also not a big year. I mean, for good movies at least. There was Percy Jackson, which wasn't a good movie. There's Iron Man 2, which wasn't a good movie. So I'm going with a pretty good movie. It's kind of, some people think that it's not as good as others. I think it's really good, and uh, it's Inception. I really like Inception. The CGI is great. The concept is great. The thought of how much they have to go through is great. The action is great. The soundtrack is great because it's by Hans Zimmer. I love Inception. It's great. Um, the story is great, obviously, and the characters are great too. Let's go on to 2011, and my favorite movie from 2011. Also, not a very big year. I mean, I guess there was Green Lantern and Thor, which was probably in my top three next to Captain America. I really like Captain America. But when it comes to my favorite movie in 2011, it's Fast Five. By the way, you see me looking over here, and there's like this notebook. So, yeah. Um, but back on to Fast Five. Fast Five is widely considered the best Fast and Furious movie. And I can see that. It's not my favorite, but it's also the probably the most enjoyable. Um, it has a really great story. It's a heist story, and the characters you just start loving. Like it, it's when Fast and Furious got like good. Like I liked the first Fast and Furious. I thought the second one sucked. The third one was actually pretty good. The fourth one was just meh. The fifth one is solid. Definitely. I love Fast Five. In 2012 is another R-rated movie called 21 Jump Street. This is probably the funniest movie I have seen. It is like so funny. You do not expect a person like Channing Tatum to be so funny. Channing frickin' Tatum. Also, I can't remember his name, but the other guy, hilarious. This movie just has so many jokes packed into it that are just amazing, and it's not like you feel packed. It doesn't like feel like packed. Like it's refreshing to see a comedy that like legitimately makes you like laugh your booty face off. I love 21 Jump Street, and honestly, talking about it just makes me want to rewatch it. I need to see 22nd Jump Street though. I did start it. Whatever. Next, in 2013 is the start of the DCEU, Man of Steel. This was another year that had a lot of stuff. There was Star Trek Into Darkness, which was definitely in the runs, and there was other stuff, but I really love Man of Steel. Now, I do think that the pacing is kind of bad and that it's just very long, but that's Zack Snyder for you. But it's visually pleasing. Like it is some of the best cinematography in the business. I mean, if not the best. And that final fight is really good. Some people shame it for being way too destructive. Whatever. It's a superhero movie. I think that the basic premise of making Superman more grounded is better, and they made it a bit darker. People say it's too dark. It's not too dark. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. It's not a great movie. It's really good. Next, in 2014, this was actually a hard year for me because there was multiple great movies that came out. Whether you're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy or X-Men Days of Future Past, both I love. And then there's Godzilla also. But I had to choose Godzilla. I love Godzilla. Godzilla is great. The story and the characters you like. People don't like that there's not a lot of action. I think that it does improve the final fight in it. There's and that first time you see Godzilla, like roar, is amazing. I'll admit I do like the new Godzilla, but not on a story level. I like it because the action is really good. All right, let's move on to 2015. 2015 was not a very good year for movies, but there were a few movies that were really good. And my favorite one definitely is Furious 7. This is my favorite Fast and Furious movie. I think that it really wraps up Paul Walker's um, film very well, and the making him alive technology is really good, and Furious 7 is really good. I think that the story is probably the best, and that final montage for Paul Walker, rest in peace, is perfect. And then, now they want The Rock to be the best guy. And it's like, wow. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for Hobbs and Shaw. I like the Fast and Furious movies still, but a lot of people think that they should end because Paul Walker died, and it would just be respectful to him. And I can see where they're coming from. I'd be okay with either way. Let's just move on. 2016 was also a year that people didn't like a lot of movies, and the movie that I'm giving, not a lot of people like. A lot of people, especially the critics, panned it. I want to get something very clear. I am talking about the extended edition, the ultimate edition, and it's Batman v Superman. Don't go in the comics saying Batman v Superman sucks, because it doesn't. It's a good movie. It's not as good as Man of Steel, I think, story-wise, but I find myself rewatching Batman v Superman a lot. Batman v Superman is definitely my favorite movie in the DCEU. I don't think it's the best one, because it's not. There's a lot of mistakes that there are. Whether you're talking about Batman killing or just some stuff that the theatrical cut is a mess, but the Ultimate Edition is good. It also, I just, because the Ultimate Edition has a much better narrative, that's why I like it so much better. And when our first introduction into Batman is so perfect. Every time I'm like, hee. I really like Batman v Superman a lot. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's a horrible movie. I think it's a good movie. Alright, let's move on to 2017. 2017 was also a pretty hard year because a lot of stuff came out. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man, Thor, Ragnarok, But I have to give it to another rated R movie called Logan. The end of Hugh Jackman's career as the Wolverine, and it pays off. I still need to see Dark Phoenix. Boy. Logan's just a really good movie. It's a sad story about death, and it's very, very dark. I wouldn't say it's as dark as like Watchmen. I'd say it might be a bit darker than The Dark Knight, but it just takes on these very big themes that are very dark, and they kind of push the story a very big a lot, and that final fight is great. Let's go into 2018, last year. And this is also a very hard year because I think that movies are starting to get more liked because we have Avengers Infinity War. It's kind of about it. I'm kidding. But we have Avengers Infinity War, and I can't remember off the top of my head all the others, but A Quiet Place, which used to be my favorite movie until I saw A Star is Born. This movie is really good. It's another rated R movie, and I mean, the hype for it has passed. Like, no one cares about Shallow anymore. Still better than Let It Go, probably. But A Star is Born, it's a very rewatchable movie for me, and the story is just so like fulfilling, and it's like kind of teaches you a lesson on, you know, watch what you're doing, because you don't want to ruin other people's lives because, you know, you're down and stuff. And the music is just so great in this movie. You can't get wrong with the music. It's just a great movie. It's an amazing movie. The movie is amazing. Alright, 2019. The year that I'm turning 14. The day that this video is coming out. I'm gonna have to edit this really fast. 2019, my favorite movie is Endgame. Yeah, it's Endgame. I mean, most people would say that their favorite movie from 2019 is Endgame, and rightfully so. Endgame is just, it's great. Alright, bye. No, I'm kidding. Let's talk about Endgame. I already reviewed it, but, you know, I don't think I got everything down. The soundtrack is amazing, the cinematography is amazing, the acting is fantastic. The action is really great. I do think it definitely slows down in the middle half and all that. And then the final battle is great. And the payoff and the endings after that, because there are technically multiple endings, which some people don't like, but I'm fine with, because, you know, it's an ensemble movie. But the final endings are just very great. That last shot just makes me want to cry. I'm thinking about it and it makes me want to cry. That movie is just amazing. You can't get wrong with watching Endgame, even though it's 3 hours and 2 minutes. Like Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, go watch it. It's good. Alright, that wraps up my video. I am 13 at 6:30 in the morning, June 19th. And I will film the pros and cons of being 13. There's probably way more cons, because frickin' 13 sucks. Can't wait to get out of this pesky 13-year-old body and be in a new 14-year-old body. Those are my favorite movies from each year I've been that I've lived. Maybe I said I've been born. Well, whatever. Each year I've been favorite movies. Stay tuned for pros and cons of being 13. And it's my birthday. It's my birthday. Alright, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you want to. Comment your favorite movies from each year that you've lived. I read comments, because I don't get a lot. Anyway, thank you for watching.